Well, good day, subscribers, and welcome in. Hope you guys are all doing great out there. Today, we're going to talk about NIO stock. We got a comment yesterday on a video in regards to NIO stock. Someone wanted to know about NIO stock. Got quite a few likes, and this is a stock we probably haven't talked, super in depth on in quite some time. This is a stock that's now in the $3 range. I believe the last time we talked super in depth about NIO stock was when they went IPO. I did a video the day they went IPO about, is NIO stock a scam, the Tesla of China? And man, I got a lot of hate on that video. A lot of people did not like what I had to say in regards to NIO stock. I was obviously very negative on that stock at that particular time, and since that time NIO stock has been an absolute disaster. It was like $11 when I did that video, and here today it's about a $3.61 stock. And keep in mind, it's only been like, I don't know, 8 months or 9 months or so since NIO went public, so it hasn't been that much time, and the stock's down like 70+% in a very short amount of time. Okay, so the stock's been a disaster, but the question is the stock worth buying now? So I want to kind of give like an updated look at NIO. When they went public, this company almost had no revenues, almost, the business was almost just like an idea of a business, whereas now this company actually has deliveries of vehicles. They're actually doing some pretty decent numbers, so I want to go ahead and take a look at those. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. So let's start getting into this, guys. Now, first off, NIO just reported earnings like literally yesterday, okay? So NIO had adjusted per share loss of 36 cents, but that was better than the 47-cent loss they were expected, okay? So they did better as far as, but they still lost money at the end of the day. Revenue came in at $243 million, which was also higher than expected. So this company's doing decent revenue volumes now. 243 this past quarter, like that's pretty decent. Now keep in mind, like literally this time last year, the company pretty much had no revenue, so it's a big change for the company there. Management said ES8 deliveries totaled just under 4,000, had exceeded the company's expectations, even in the face of electric vehicle subsidy reductions, slowing macroeconomic conditions, increased competition, and several factors related to the Chinese New Year holiday. However, it pointed to a challenging environment going forward. So this company, they haven't ramped like in a massive way. Obviously, they totaled, just under 4,000 vehicles they delivered in that quarter. So just over 1,000 vehicles a quarter, or excuse me, 1,000 vehicles a month. Obviously, they're getting out there, 1,000, maybe 2,000 they can get up to. So the company's still in very, very small scale. They haven't ramped in any major way as of right now, but the numbers are progressing, okay? As far as their commentary, they said, looking ahead to the second quarter, we expect an even more challenging sales environment and anticipate overall sequential demand and deliveries to decrease. So that means quarter over quarter there, as competition continues to accelerate and the general automobile market in China remains muted, the CFO said. Against this backdrop, NIO is focused on rolling out our ES6 nationwide at the same time, improving overall network utilization and operating efficiencies. Now, if you don't know the vehicles this company has in the market, they only really have one vehicle in the market as of right now, and that is the ES8, which is an SUV I should be showing you here. Here's another picture of it. This is the interior, and it's a pretty decent looking vehicle in my personal opinion, inside and out. And these vehicles are very competitively priced, so they're not like, super high end. They're more expensive than probably the average car, but it's not like they're super high priced or something like that. It's like it's affordable for some of the, maybe let's say the top 10 to 15% of Chinese citizens, not like the top 1 to 2%, for instance, okay? And then they're also coming out with the ES6, which is another all-electric SUV, but looks a little smaller. Roofline looks a little smaller, but it does look pretty similar, honestly, to the ES8. So we'll have to see, how those shake out and how those do in the market, and, does one steal sales from the other, things like that, okay? So that's the product they have in the market right now, the ES8. The ES6 is coming, so they're starting to ramp in some way, but once again, a car maker that's not making a lot of cars as of right now, all right? Now, here's the really good thing about this for NIO, right? Passenger vehicle sales in China this past year were 24 million, and that's pretty much where they're at consistently. So needless to say, the Chinese automobile market is a massive one, okay? Much bigger than anywhere else in the world. 24 million vehicles sold this past year. Like, those are incredible numbers. So meaning, a company like NIO that's super niche, that just delivered 4,000 vehicles in the last quarter, so a little over 1,000 vehicles a month they're doing. Like, imagine what they could potentially do someday down the road. Imagine if they just got a 1% market share of the Chinese automobile market. I mean, imagine how big the company would be, or imagine if they got a 2% or 5%. Like, you know, it'd be incredible, right? Because the market is just so massive in China now, right? Now, that's a positive. There are a few negatives. Obviously, the US-China trade war is heating up in much more of a substantial way. That's starting to get worse rather than better. So obviously, that is something that could potentially hurt the Chinese economy even more, meaning less and less people buying new cars, and that hurts new car sales in the end. But in my personal opinion, since NIO is so niche, even if the economy slows in China, it really doesn't matter. Because let's say the Chinese economy slows quite a bit more, and let's say, you know, there's only 20 million passenger vehicles sold in China next year. If you're NIO, what does it really matter if 20 million or 25 million? The market is so big and you're so niche. It matters much more if you're one of those automobile manufacturers that's making millions a year right now, and those numbers get a lot weaker. But when you're just the little guy coming into the big market, like you know, the growth is ahead of you. Like, doesn't matter what's going on in the economy, as long as you're producing a product that everybody wants and you're super niche, like, you can grab tons and tons of market share over time. Okay. Now, the other bad thing for this company is the Tesla Gigafactory in Shanghai is being built at a very, very rapid pace, and that one should open at some point in 2019, probably the fall time. Maybe we could be looking at anywhere from October opening, maybe a December opening. I'm probably showing you another, you know, view of it here. This is from Jason Yang's YouTube channel here. He does a lot of great drone videos on the construction, how fast that is going. So needless to say, like Tesla is going to finally be a big competitor in the Chinese market. As of right now, Tesla's been super, super niche, obviously, because the mere fact that there's so many import duties, and obviously shipping the cars from Fremont, California to China, there's so much that goes into it that makes a Tesla extremely, extremely expensive in China. Like, a Tesla's already a pretty expensive vehicle when it comes to Model S and Model X, right? Even if you live in the States. Now imagine if you live in China, how much more, like, those vehicles can be anywhere between 20% and 40% more expensive in China than if somebody in the States is buying it. And keep in mind, obviously, you know, the amount of money made for an average Chinese citizen is nowhere, you know, comparable to a US citizen. So needless to say, it's, you know, the competitive environment is going to get a lot more even for Tesla over in China. So we'll have to see how all that plays out. It's obviously a negative for NIO because maybe Tesla could take some sales away from China. I'm not so convinced that Chinese citizens, even with this trade war going on, are going to, you know, say we don't want to buy a Tesla because American, you know, car manufacturer out there. I think actually the Chinese citizens are very supportive of Elon Musk and what Tesla's doing there. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But once again, NIO is so niche that doesn't even matter really much for them, you know, if Tesla comes into the market, all right? Now, NIO, once again, we talked about this stock. It's a $3 stock now, $3.61 to be exact. So even my 1-year-old and 4-year-old could afford to buy one of these shares, okay? Market cap on this company is $3.7 billion at this point in time. So a teeny tiny market cap, especially from where this company went public, which they went public, I think it was like $11 or $12 billion market cap, maybe even up to $14 billion at some point. So it was obviously, you know, a much bigger market cap company at that time. Now you're getting to buy it for under $4 billion. That's, you know, much more realistic for where this company's at this particular time. Now the hope is they can grow into like a Tesla over time. Obviously Tesla, even after Tesla's massive drop it's had this year, which Tesla's stock in 2019 has been an absolute disaster, right? Even with the disaster that has been Tesla's stock price this year, the market cap on Tesla is still around 33, 34 billion. So imagine if NIO could grow into like just where Tesla's at today, you know, something that's like a 30 billion, 35 billion market cap, okay? Imagine that. Never mind where Tesla goes in the future. If NIO could just get to the stage where Tesla's at today, obviously you can make like a 10x on your money or 9x on your money or something like that. That would be insane, right? And that's kind of what you have to be like going for if you're investing in NIO stock, because obviously there's a big risk in the stock. The fact that they lose money consistently, they'll probably continue to lose money for quite a while in the future, and the fact that they're just starting to, you know, try to ramp for the first time, right? Now, sometimes betting on the small dog pays off and sometimes it doesn't. Snapchat, for instance, the stock goes public $24 back in 2017, so it's been public for, I don't know, a couple years now, and today the stock's $11 stock, so it's down 50+% since basically, you know, the day it went IPO, and that's after still 2 years, so you're still, you know, you could be waiting a long time to even break even on Snapchat. if you ever break even on Snapchat. So that's obviously an example of betting on the small company that obviously hasn't worked out. Doesn't mean it won't work out in the future, but they're so far from even like trying to break even if you bought that stock in the IPO at $24, okay? Now, another example of a company, this one's, went public a long time ago, okay? AMD's been a public company for a long time. But if you just look at AMD, this was a stock in 2016, early 2016, late 2015. It was a $2 stock, okay? So if you had pretty good insight on AMD at that time and you thought it was pretty realistic they could come back and make this into a successful company, obviously you were up massive amounts of money. Like that stock is like 14x or 15x or whatever since that time. That's unbelievable. So there's certain times that if you bet on one of these small companies, you can absolutely knock it on out of the ballpark and turn $10,000 into $100,000 in a few years time or something like that. But sometimes it doesn't work out, okay? So there are kind of like three tiers I look at when I'm looking at a stock and I'm thinking like this is a speculative stock, okay? There's what I call a spec stock, there's what I call a super spec stock, and then there's what I call a straight gamble speculative stock. Let's start with that straight gamble speculative stock. That's basically a dream of a company, okay? So when NIO went public, it was basically like this idea of what we could create, okay? NIO like almost had non-existent revenues in the past and non-existent deliveries of their vehicles, and they were taking massive losses. So if you were buying NIO stock on the IPO, you were buying into a company that was a straight gamble speculative stock, like a huge gamble, like basically like a Powerball ticket. You buy a Powerball ticket or a Mega Millions ticket, right? You're pretty much almost guaranteed to lose that money, right? The $2 you put in it, you're almost guaranteed to lose. But it's possible, like 1 in 300 million, that you could hit and make a ton of money, right? That's a straight gamble speculative stock. Next one up is a super spec stock, I call it, which is a small company with no profits. That's where I would put NIO right now. It's a small company. They have no profits. They're not expected to be profitable anytime soon. So if you're investing in the stock, it's a super speculative company. And the next tier up is a speculative company, which is, in my opinion, a big company with no profit. So I always, you guys know my Tesla videos. I've done a million of those in the past. I always call Tesla, for instance, a speculative company. It's a really big company that's doing some really big volumes now, but they still do lose money, and so therefore they are a speculative company, okay? So here's how we kind of think about NIO, okay? So if you bought into the stock at IPO, you were doing basically a straight gamble speculative play, all right? Once again, the stock went IPO somewhere around $11, $12. It's $3 today. NIO today, in my opinion, is a super spec play. Once again, small company, no profits. In a few years, this company has an actual legit chance of getting to that place where they're actually a speculative company, meaning essentially that this company is a big company doing, let's say, $10 billion in revenue, $15 billion, $20 billion, but maybe they're still losing money at that particular time, or maybe they're just making slight profits, which means this company, as far as its market cap and valuation, could grow substantially. So in my personal opinion, if I look at NIO stock here, it has gotten a tremendous amount more interesting here today than any time in the past because they are starting to ramp and the valuation you have to pay for this company is substantially less. However, there is a big risk with this stock, and kind of like if you're trying to buy into something that's a spec stock, depending on how speculative it is the less money you want to put in, obviously. So if you're doing a straight gamble IPO, like that needs to be, very, very small amount of money. If you're doing something like NIO, it still probably needs to be a small amount of money. And then if you're doing something that's just an overall spec company, which is a big company that takes losses, then that could be a little bit bigger of an investment, but still not like one of your main investments or something like that. So if I look at NIO stock, it is very interesting at these particular levels. The chances of bankruptcy are possible, but I'm not fully convinced that another big Chinese tech company wouldn't pull in and loan them money or something like that, or maybe even the Chinese government back them because they want NIO to succeed long term in the electric vehicle market. So you have many different factors at play. Much more interesting. Am I going to go buy NIO stock tomorrow? Probably not, but I will say I'm a lot closer to buying NIO stock today than I was when that company went IPO, and I was extremely, extremely negative. So I've had a lot of change of heart around NIO in the recent months since it's a $3 stock now with a $3.7 billion market cap instead of 11 or 12 billion like it was, guys. So anyways, I want to hear your opinion on NIO stock. Do you think it's an interesting spec play? Do you think it's still not there? Do you want to buy the stock if it goes down $2? Would you not buy the stock no matter what? I would love to hear from you guys in that comment section. As always, make sure to smash the thumbs up button if you enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching and have a great day.